do. And this particular, the conclusion of the glories, the creepers are so wonderful, and they're more fortunate than Lakshmi, and they're worthy of taking shelter, and the demigods worship them, and they can bestow and fulfill anyone's desires. They're kapalatas, they can fill their desires. Now the conclusion of all of it is, well, they're very fortunate, and they're so wonderful. Let's become a creeper. When you hear all these things, like someone tells you so many things about Hawaii and the glories of this, then you think, well, let's go there. Let's go to Hawaii and see for ourselves, and the tropical rainforest and the beautiful beaches and waves and this and that and whatever's over there. I never went there. So you hear about it and you want to go there. So now we hear about the creepers and we want to be one. They're so fortunate. So we can look at this chapter 5, 167, and then see what it says there. Yaradaya varatanu atet yukti matrena nityod kayat yukta madhukara ruter vigya ganam tanoti krandet yukta visrijati marut fulita said the Deity proktashlisha jutamiti gira saswaje grishta gucha mat pranesham nama nigad di tate yapatat yeva bhuma vitam. Goes like this: eva bhuma vitam tat vachna vashaga syam maham kapi vali shiradaya sarkara vihita swambhu shekari pushta Vrindaranya mudita harina datta kanta virashi. This is wonderful. 2 verses. We're going to hear the voice of Radha. Very rare. Because if you get to meet someone, then you get to hear their voice. Well, you may meet them on the internet also. Hear the voice of Radharani. Can you hear the voice of Radharani on internet? I doubt it. But you can hear the voice of Radharani when she speaks. And where does she speak? She speaks in the Shastras. She speaks in the Leela Granthas, in the Rasa Granthas describing Braj Leela. She speaks to Sham. She speaks to her gopis. O Sakyan. And so here she's speaking, so we're going to hear what she says. And who is she speaking to? She's speaking to the gopis. She's speaking to all her friends. And who are all her friends? Because Sakhi means friend. But in Radharani's kingdom of love and kingdom of harmony and mutual exchanges, they're all her friends. Surrounded by friends. So the creepers are her friends, the harina, the deer are her friends. All are Radha's friends. This is Vrindavan. No enemies, all friends. We say in the material world, oh, this is a place, friends and enemies. Some people like me, some people don't. Some people die for me, some people kill me. Some people are willing to die for me, and some people want to kill me. So this is the world of friends and enemies. Enemy. Friends and enemy. So Radha says, listen, as soon as Radha says, oh, beautiful one, please dance. So she calls her friends beautiful. Usually a girl calls another girl, or a boy calls a girl, oh, beautiful one, let's dance, please dance. So she's calling beautiful Alata. Oh, Varatano Nateti, Yukti Matrena Nityod. Oh, beautiful one, please dance. As soon as Radha says that, then how do the creepers respond? They dance. They don't think, maybe I should dance later. Guru asked me to dance, maybe I'll dance later. Maybe I'll dance next week. It's not that important order. And I can dance this afternoon. I don't feel like dancing right now. But the creepers, they got the order, they got the command, and let's dance. Radharani says, "Oh, beautiful one, please dance for the pleasure of my Sham." You can understand, he's walking next to Radharani, and Radharani turns to the creeper and says, "Hey, Lata, hey, Varatanu, and the Deity." Then when Radharani says, "Please sing," then the creepers, they sing melodiously, because in this kingdom, consciousness is not limited by the body. In our kingdom, consciousness is limited by the body. The elephant has a soul like we do, but he's very limited in what he can do, how he can express. In the rock there is consciousness, there is Atma in the rock, but it's called covered. Sankuchita. This was Sankuchita. It means covered consciousness. So his consciousness is so covered that you don't even think there's any living entity inside a rock. But they're there. Consciousness is severely covered. There's some rocks, Prabhupada told on one tape, they are inside a mandir. I don't know if they're Shalagram Shilas or what they are. I don't know. I forget what. They're inside some building or temple. And it's a completely airtight place and this and that. And they keep growing. The rock keeps getting bigger. So you can't say this deposition from the atmosphere, because they're not outside, it's inside, and the rock is continually being washed all the time and bathed. There's no chance for dust to collect on the rock and harden over time or whatever. So the rock keeps growing and growing. So the particular Atma in that rock is kind of expanding a little bit, his influence. The point I'm saying is, in the material world, the body limits the expression of consciousness. But in the spiritual world, the body does not limit the expression of consciousness. Therefore, trees can walk, trees can talk, trees can laugh, trees can cry, and so can latas. So when Radharani says dance, then the latas start dancing. Then she says sing, please sing. They sing melodiously. Then she says please cry. So they cry and they shed honey. Honey falls from their flowers, nectar drips from the flowers. Then she tells the latas, please laugh. And they become jubilant and laugh. Have you ever heard a laughing creeper? Have you ever shuno a hasya lata? Have you ever seen a lata dance? Have you ever seen a lata cry? Because we are in the material world where the body limits the consciousness. Because you'll never see a creeper in this world laugh or dance or cry. Because the spiritual world is the world of consciousness. Chit Dham. All consciousness. Satchidananda Dham. So the impossible is every day. Every day is an impossible reality beyond the wildest imagination of the greatest speculator. Jnane prayasam mudapastinamante va. Then when Radha says, hey creepers, please embrace Alinkata. The creepers respond by happily embracing the trees, because the trees are their boyfriends. And girls love to embrace their boyfriends. They don't even hardly need anyone to tell them to do it. But sometimes in a Leela, Jatila comes and she tells Vidyavali, who's Krishna disguised as a female singer, and there's some disagreement between Krishna's disguise as a female singer and the woman's disguise, and she's in Jatila's house in Yavat. Radharani's there, and Abhimani's out somewhere with the cows here, there, whatever. And then there's some argument in the room, and then Vidyavali runs out, and then she starts falling on the ground crying, said, oh, my cousin sister doesn't like me, this, that. And Jatila says, what's wrong? Oh, I'm from Mathura, I'm a cousin sister of Radharani, and we're so near and dear, and I've come to see her after a long time, and she's speaking so nasty to me, and now it's so late, and now I don't know what to do. And then Jatila says, what is this? My daughter-in-law says, my daughter-in-law can't treat you like this. Hey, why are you crying? She's crying, making a big scene like a temper tantrum. And just lying on the ground, kicking her legs. Oh, my little girl. How has such terrible things happen here? How can these things happen in my house? This is not right. My daughter-in-law is really misbehaving. Listen, come with me. So then she brings inside. And then Radharani says Jatila says to Radharani, her daughter-in-law, Radharani, how are such things happening here? Why are you treating this, your cousin sister like this? Look, she's crying, tears running down her face, she's so unhappy. Now listen to me. Now, you're my daughter-in-law, this is my house, you have to follow what I say. Now you have to make up right now, you have to make up with your cousin sister. I want you to eat your meal together and spend the night together, because it's too late for her to go to Mathura. It's very late. I want you to sleep on the same bed. You have to sleep on the same bed together. Now you just accept her. And then Alita steps in. She says, "Oh, but you don't know Jatila." Oh, whatever she call her, Jatila or mother-in-law, this, that. She says, "Oh, Janani," or whatever. You don't understand. This cousin sister has been very offensive to Radharani. Anyway, I don't care what you're saying. No. There's no way our Radharani is going to, eat with this cousin sister or sleep. No way. You can just tell her to go back to Mathura. And then she said, "Listen now, you just be quiet." And she said, "Now, right in front of me, I want to see you both lock yourselves in a warm embrace. Both of you tightly embrace each other." And then Radharani said, "No." Radharani said, "That is not possible. Never. I'll never in 100 years." And then Jatila gets angry. She says, "What is this?" And she forcibly brings it. Now you just embrace each other. And she pushes Krishna disguised as Vidyavali and Radharani together. And then once they embrace each other, and then they say, "Yeah, that's it. Nice. That's nice." Jatila says, "Now you look like nice cousin sisters. So now you just spend the night here. I'm going. It's late now. I'm going to bed." So that's like a whole long story, but. So Radharani, she looked at the creepers and she told them, "Listen, embrace." And the creepers are wrapped around the tree, so they happily and tightly embrace the trees. Then Radharani said, "Offer obeisances to our beloved Lord." And then all the creepers fell on the ground. They left the embrace of the tree and fell on the ground, because they can creep back up the tree if they want, or they can come back down. So now Prabhupada Saraswati and we also say, "I would also like to become a creeper in Vrindavan and follow the orders of Sri Radha in the same way. I would be nourished by water personally supplied by Sri Radha, and Sri Hari will bless me by happily allowing me to become one of his beloveds." So this is, of course, Prabhupada Saraswati is Tunga Vidya Sakhi, and he's saying here, Datta Kanta Varashi. So Datta means please give me, make you your Kanta, make me your lover. So he's taking the idea of Lata to mean ultimately Sakhi Lata. Sakhis are like Latas. They dance for Krishna, they embrace Krishna, they cry for Krishna, they sing for Krishna, they sing melodiously for Krishna, they sometimes cry and shed tears for Krishna, they laugh with Krishna, and they embrace Krishna. So Prabhupada Saraswati says, "Yes, I want to be a creeper like this, and Radharani will order me, but also I want to be Krishna's lover." This is a very beautiful. So this is the conclusion of the glories of the creepers, is let's become one. There's another translation here, we can see what it says in this other book. 537. Interesting idea here. Radha will say, "Oh beautiful one, please dance," and I will dance. She will say, "Please sing," and the bees on my petals will sing a melodious song. So here, in this particular translation, the Lata is become totally personalized, as I was mentioning, the consciousness, because the body does not limit the consciousness, and all the devotees in Vrindavan, they're all personal consciousness expressions of Krishna's divine desire to love. So all the devotees and all the trees and creepers and animals and birds, they're all totally personal, talking parrots and talking creepers. So here he immediately puts it in first person, I. Radharani will say, "Oh beautiful, and please dance," and I will dance. And she will say, "Please sing." Then the bees sitting on my petals, of my creeper petals, they will sing a melodious song. Radharani will say, "Please shed some tears." and honey will flow from my flowers. She will say, please laugh, and I will express my laughing by my flowers bursting into bloom. Radharani will say, embrace this tree, and I will embrace the tree with my tendrils. Tendrils means a skinny little part of the lata. The lata has a stem, and then there's leaves off it. And also where the leaf is, and coming out the leaf is a little skinny thing called a tendril. And that's where they kind of grab onto the bark of the tree and sticky little hairs and stuff. The stem just goes like that, and that supplies water from the ground or whatever different ways they nourish. Pressing my flowers against his trunk. So the whole idea of the embrace here, because I will embrace the tree with my tendril thin arms, and I will press my lotus flower-like breasts against his trunk. This is the implied meaning. Because creeper means, because sometimes the gopis are called the Brajakapavalis. Brajakapavalis means that they're the wish-fulfilling creepers of Vrindavan. Brajakapavalis. So this is, because he's Tungavijaya Sakhi, he has Nayaka Bhav, or heroine Bhav, lover of Krishna. And then he's saying, so I'll embrace with my arms. When you embrace them with your arms, it's not just arms are embracing, but it's chest to chest also. And then when Radharani says, please bow down before the Lord of my life, my Pranakant, I will fall down on the ground. In this way, I will be a flowering vine, completely obedient to every word. She will nourish me by sprinkling me with the water from her own hand. Lord Krishna will be very pleased, and he will bless me by saying, may you attain the blessings of my beloved Radha. So this is very nice. It says, in this way I'll be a flowering vine, completely obedient to every word. So this is what flowering, they call a girl, they say she's a flowering young girl. When a girl enters puberty, they say she's flowering. And so this is also there, and I will, Radharani will say, fall down, so I will bow down before her Lord. And this way I'll become a flowering vine. So I will become a young Kishori Gopi, a young Gopi Mandri or Sakhi, and I will obey Radharani's every word, because I will be favorable to her, even if I'm a Nayaka. And she will sprinkle me with water from her own hand. So taking as a creeper, Radharani also grows creepers to offer flowers to Krishna and to satisfy Krishna. And you can also take it as the gopis are like creepers. So either way, to become a creeper like Gopi, or to become a creeper in Vrindavan, is perfection. Certainly is perfection of all bhajan and lifetimes of progress and devotional activities. Uddhava Mahashaya prays like that, Gomalata Oshadinam, Vrindavanam Kim Gomalata Oshadinam. In 10th canto, chapter 46, he prays, I want to take birth in Vrindavan as a Goma Lata Oshadinam, as a little, Gomalata means a little creeper that has little white or red and black berries or white berries. And it just grows here and there in abandoned places and farms and old farmhouses and stuff, here and there. And that's Gomalata. And Oshadinam. Oshadinam means a medicinal herbal bush, a small bush on the ground or a creeper, kind of insignificant. He's not asking, Gomalata has no flowers of any significance, and it makes a poison berry. That berry is poisonous. So it doesn't have any good fragrance, so he's just saying, I want to be some insignificant Gomalata, or Oshadi, little shrub. He didn't say I want to be a Malati Lata. He didn't say Madhavi Lata or Malati Lata, because Madhavi Lata, they see Krishna's Nivrittini Kunja Leela. Because the Madhavi Latas are wrapped around the Kadamba trees of the Kunjas, the Nikunjas, so they can see. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti pande kalyanti chanam jaganti. Their consciousness is not limited by their bodies. So Krishna, he can see with his ears, see with his nose, see with his mouth. And the jiva has the same experience when he dreams, as I already mentioned to you. The seer, smeller, taster, toucher in the dream is the mental body, the mind. Because the mind is actually touching, the mind is actually seeing, feeling, tasting, everything is going on in the mind. The senses are just the instruments of carrying impressions, but the experience of happiness or unhappiness is in the mind. So when we dream, we smell the pizza in the dream. We see the restaurant. We hold a pizza in our hand, or we hold a person in our arms. So there's touching, there's smelling, there's tasting, there's speaking. Everything goes on in a dream. But all your senses are sleeping. So this is Angani Lesya Sekalendriya Vitimanti. Because consciousness is all pervading, and consciousness is not limited by the body. So in this case, the consciousness operates through the mind when you dream. Like Krishna's whole existence is all in consciousness. So he can see with his ears, eyes, all his senses are consciousness. Just like all of our senses become mind. When we dream, swapna, all of our senses become mind. And mind is existing or floating on the background of consciousness. So in Krishna's case, there's no mind and consciousness, he's only consciousness. So consciousness is acting through the vehicle of the mind, enabling us to see, to have all five sense experiences in the mind while dreaming. So Krishna has full consciousness, so in his transcendental body he can have all five sense experiences with any sense. This is all happening through consciousness. This is the tattva, background of the lila. So there's very beautiful translations we hear about creepers. So don't be a creep, become a creeper. And don't be a creepana. Right? A creepana means a miser, a cheap person, a creepana. You should be brahmana. Brahmana means broad-minded, charitable, udhar. Brahmana. Very kind and charitable and pure and saralata. So we should be brahmana, not creepana. So now we're going to hear, we're coming up from the ground of Vrindavan, ground zero, Brajaraj, and now we're going to the grass, and then we went to the creepers. Now we're going to hear the glories of the trees of Vrindavan. We're coming up in the world, hitting the big time. Vrindavan Briksha Mahima. Before we get discussing the whole tree, because a tree has lots of parts and parcels, like branches, like twigs, like leaf buds, like flower buds, leaf buds and leaves, flower buds and flowers, and then ultimately fruits. So we're going to start with our discussion and appreciation of the Kalpataru of Vrindavan by hearing about the glories of one leaf, a single leaf in Vrindavan. How glorious is that leaf? And that's chapter 7, verse 7. The glories of one leaf. Vrindavana vidur astam Vrindavaneshri tasya santu cha sakyo brinda vainaikataru palavopi moha yati. The author says, what to speak of Vrindavan Chandra, and what to speak of Radha, the queen of Vrindavan, Vrindavaneshwari, as well as the gopis. Even a leaf from a tree of Vrindavan is able to overwhelm the entire world. Taru Palava, Vanaika Taru Palava Mohayati. I don't see world here per se, but I will just give an attempt to translate, then we'll read the second translation, which sometimes is more accurate. Vanaika taru palavo pi mohayati. That Vrindavana Vidura, Vidu means moon. Indu, Vidu means moon. So Vrindavan Chandra is Vrindavana Vidur. Astam means what to speak, what to speak. Vrindavaneshri tasya santu chasakyo brinda. Sakya Brinda means her group of Sakhis, but it becomes Sakya because of the Sanskrit. Sakya Brinda means her whole group of Sakhis. So there's Radha in this verse, Vrindavan Chandra Krishna and Vrindavaneshwari Radha. Vrindavan Chandra, Vrindavaneshwari. She's controlling that moon of Krishna. He rises if she wants. She sets if she wants. If Radharani smiles at Vrindavan Chandra, then he becomes Purnima. If Radharani frowns at Krishna or ignores him or shows man, then he becomes Amavasya, Amavasya Vrindavan Chandra. And she only pays a little attention to him, then he becomes Ashtami. Ashtami Vrindavan Chandra. The moon on the 8th day, like a little sliver, a little bit happy, but not so much emptiness. A little bit of light of love, but so much darkness of neglect. So much darkness of neglect. Well, Krishna's hankering for the full moon smile of Vrindavaneshwari and the full moon heart of Radharani, as we are. The Vrindavan Chandra and Vrindavaneshwari, there's two players here. And the Vanaika Taru Palavo. These three, what to speak of Radha and Krishna and the Sakhis? Even a leaf has the power of bewilderment. Moha. Even a leaf, Krishna and his activities, he can bewilder anyone. He's Madan Mohan. Manmata Mamata. Cupid bewilders the whole world, from Brahma to Shiva to everyone. Narada, everyone gets bewildered by Cupid. Madan. But Krishna bewilders Cupid. Madan Mohan. So that's Vrindavan Chandra. And then the other is Radharani. So she's Madan Mohan Mohini. So she bewilders the one who bewilders the whole world. So she has bewildering power, and Krishna has bewildering power, and the Sakhis who are one Tadatmika with Radha, they also have bewildering power. Krishna is bewildered by the Sakhis also. What to speak of them? Even a leaf of Vrindavan has the power to bewilder. Even one leaf, Taru Palava, Palavo means a leaf, actually means a leaf bud. Palavo means a leaf bud. One leaf bud of a tree. Vantaru. Vantaru means tree. Mantra Kapa Taru. Wish-fulfilling tree. So this Vanaika Taru, the trees in Vrindavan, one leaf from those trees. What is this section called? It's called Brajataru Mahima, the glories of the trees in Vrindavan. So let's start with the glories of one leaf. Because we're already starting from the bottom up from the pebbles to the grass so now we're starting the trees, but let's start at the lowest part of the tree, just a leaf. No flowers have come yet. We don't even know if it will make flowers. Is it a male tree or female tree? Some trees are male and female. The male doesn't make fruit, the female does. All different kind of pollination, different arrangements. You have to have a nar. It's called Nara Nari. It's like I had one tree growing, papaya tree, and they said, "Oh, that's nar." I don't need nar. So that's male. I said, "What does that mean?" So it won't give any fruits. I said, "Oh, that's interesting." So I went away somewhere. I came back and my children chopped it down. I said, "Why did you do that?" I said, "Oh, he's male. He's useless." Radha and Krishna and the gopis, and even a leaf from a tree can overwhelm the entire world. So I just said they all have the power of bewilderment. Krishna can become bewildered by Radharani, and one leaf of a tree of Vrindavan can bewilder, has the power of bewilderment. And that happens. What's an example? Let's have an example of how one leaf of a tree bewilders. Now just imagine, who's going to get bewildered in this one? The person who bewilders Cupid will become bewildered by one leaf. And that is Madan Mohan. When Madan Mohan is feeling separation from Radha, and then he's walking through the forest. This is explained in Govinda Lilamrita by Krishna's Kaviraj. And in that mood of separation, Krishna sees everywhere in Vrindavan Radharani. In the trees, in the leaves, everywhere he sees Radharani. The flowers are her breasts, and everywhere he sees, he's reminded. The honey dripping down from the trees, oh, that's Radharani's. Sometimes tears are dripping down her golden face, and then he sees a leaf from a tree. Just sees a leaf from a tree, and he sees that, and he said, "Oh, this tree, this leaf, Radharani made a garland of these leaves. This leaf becomes an udipan for Leela Smaran, for Rasadgar." So Krishna's in separation. Oh, this tree, Radharani. The last time I saw her, she offered me a garland from this tree. And just by seeing a leaf, he became mo, bewildered in love. It's called Prem Vibram. He became totally Brahm. Brahm means mo, bewilderment. confused. And then he held the leaf in his fingers. Oh, Radha, Radha. And then he became Morchita. And he fainted, just touching one leaf of the tree. Because he was seeing, wherever he looked, he saw Radharani, the peacocks were dancing. He saw the long tails of the peacocks, shiny hair of the peacocks, and he thought of Radharani's hair when it's undone in the kunj, and her beni comes undone, and it falls over his chest, and it looks like peacock feathers. And he thinks of Radharani's peacock, sees the peacock moving through the forest, all Radharani's hair, and so even the leaf has the power of bewilderment. So we can read this other translation here in chapter 7, verse 7. And just by hearing these discussions, we're also getting bewildered. We're forgetting Maya, the great enchantress. He says, for the moment, let us not consider Lord Krishna, the moon of Vrindavan. Let us not consider Shrimati Radharani, the queen of Vrindavan. And let us not consider her gopi friends either. Even one blossoming tree in Vrindavan forest has the power to enchant the entire world. So both of these translations are talking about bewildering power. That obviously the gopis, the same basic point, I just didn't want to make it to the whole world. Because Vrindavan is the whole world. We don't have to go anywhere. Vrindavan is the whole world. There's no other world but Vrindavan. This is the spiritual world. So he says entire world. What does that mean? That means the Maya Jagat. It means the Devi Dham. It means the Chota Bhuvana. Chota Bhuvana means the 14 planetary systems. 7 above the earth and 7 below. So one leaf has the power of moha, bewildering the entire world, the universe. Why take the leaf out of Vrindavan? Why take the potency of the leaf out of Vrindavan? Does Krishna ever take a step out of Vrindavan? No. Do the gopis ever take a step? No. Do the creepers ever take a step? No. So their action of bewilderment is right here in this world, the spiritual world of Vrindavan. Vrindavan Mahimamrita ki jai. So we'll continue with the glories of the trees tomorrow. These are the trees of Vrindavan. This is Vrindavan Mahimamrita by Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati. This is chapter 10, quite a few verses, 77 through 83. These are descriptions of the trees, and several verses describing. We heard about the glories of the leaves, or one leaf of Vrindavan. We were mentioning about a leaf yesterday, and something came to mind, and I wanted to, as further glorification of the leaves of Vrindavan, and I wanted to remind everyone of that. There's one very popular song a few years ago about every leaf. It's just describing the glories of Vrindavan, the glories of Radharani, and the glories of even one leaf of Vrindavan. Brajaki lata pata bi bole, Shri Radha Radha. Brajaki lata pata. So Brajake Lata Pata means leaf, and Lata means creeper. So the song is saying that every leaf, every single pata, every single leaf of every creeper in Vrindavan is chanting Shri Radha Radha, Shri Radha Radha. So this is further glories of one leaf. Put your ear to a leaf and listen. Find one creeper in Vrindavan, put your ear to the leaf, and listen. And you have to confirm this, because the song is saying every leaf is chanting Shri Radha. So we're empirical. We're reasonable, logical people, so we should go check that out. Have you ever done it? Take your stethoscope and check. You may find they're chanting Shri Radha Radha, Shri Radha Hamara Dana Radha Shri Radha Shri Radha. Hamara Dana Radha Shri Radha Shri Radha. Radha 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 Radha. Radha 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 Radha. Ke Chit Piyusha Saruttama Parinatya Kechana Shira Sarer. Divye Sanira Mita Kipi Yatula Mada Kritam Asananam Ganaga. Kechit Shaitopala Kepi Yati Hima Karaka Kalpa Rupa Iti Shri Vrindaranya Drumendra Dharati Bahuvira Radhika Krishna Tushyati. The transcendental trees of Vrindavan manifest various forms for the full satisfaction of Radha and Krishna. Some of the trees are the limit of transcendental nectar. Priyusha Sarutam. Some of them are made of transcendental essence of milk, Kir Sara. Some of them are made of transcendental essence of milk. Some of them are made of incomparable, intoxicating nectar, Atula Mada Kritam Asavanam. And some of them are just like crystal. No. What? Yeah, like crystal. Ganagana. Ganagana Kesha Shaitopala. And some of them are as white as kaffir. Oh, amazing. Himakaraka. Hima is snow. Himakaraka Kalpa Rupa. It's interesting. The trees, so first the author is saying the trees can take any form, various forms to please Radha and Krishna. So sometimes the trees appear as nectar or kir, the essence of milk, or they appear as wine, they appear as crystal, they appear as white as camphor. Very interesting translation. Let's see what this one says over here. For the pleasure of Radha and Krishna, the regal trees of Vrindavan assume many different forms. Some assume forms of the sweetest nectar. Others take the forms of splendid transcendental milk and cream. Others take the forms of intoxicating liquors. Others take the forms of crystals, and other take the forms of very cooling camphor. That's something to be seen, I guess. I can't really comment on that other than consciousness can assume many forms. In other words, we hear about Sridham. Sridham is a coward boy, and he has a human-like form of a young boy. But in Garuda Govinda, there's a pastime place called Garuda Govinda. When Krishna went there with the coward boys, then the coward boys were saying, "We heard from Bhagavati Rishi that you're also Vishnu, and we know that Vishnu flies on Garuda." We heard that from the acharyas, that Vishnu flies on Garuda. So we want to know. The coward boy said, "So if you're Vishnu, then can you show us that Vishnu?" And then Krishna glanced at Sridham from the corner of his eye, Krishna Kripa Kataksha. And then Sridham glanced back in affirmative yes. And Krishna looked at Sridham and said, "All right." Then he turned to the boys, "Yeah, of course. I'm also Vishnu. And you see Sridham, he's Garuda." So Sridham immediately turned into Garuda. He changed his form from a coward boy to an eagle, to Garuda, a bird, Pakshi. Then Krishna stood on his back and they flew all around in the air and up and around and here and there and everywhere. And little boys were saying, wow, amazing, sadhu, sadhuati. Then they made a temple there, and they have a deity of Krishna standing on Garuda, and beautiful, very old temple, very old place of pilgrimage, Garuda Govinda Mandir. So this is an example of a devotee who is generally exhibiting one form for the seva of Krishna, but per the need of the pastime, and per the request of the Lord or the happiness of Radha and Krishna, they can change or assume different forms. Brinda Devi is a Sakhi, and she is a beautiful lady's form. She's Kaya-vyu of Radharani, an expansion of Radharani. But then, to serve Krishna, she becomes a tree, Tulsi tree. She has another form, a completely different form. It's the same Brinda Devi, but she has a form. Once they asked the question, if wherever Tulsi is that a different jiva? And Prabhupada said, no, it's one Tulsi everywhere. Wherever Tulsi is, there's a one Tulsi. It's like her unlimited manifestations. So this is her, like this, they take different forms. So here the trees are trees turning into burfi. That would be nice. They're wish-fulfilling trees of Vrindavan, so you feel hungry one day on the Govardhan Prikrama, and you look at one tree and say, hey, old Vriksha, you can become some burfi now? Or at least a few of your leaves can become burfi and fall off in my mouth. Or maybe you're feeling like you want to get a little excited. So then you tell the tree, can you turn into wine? Of course, in the camphor you feel a little hot, so you want to feel some nice camphor on your forehead. So obviously, for the service, look at it this way. For the service of Krishna, a conscious entity can do practically anything. We are in a human form, but we do so many things because of the presence of consciousness. The only limiting factor in our expression of activities is not our consciousness, but our body. Our will and our consciousness is to fly in the sky. I want to fly. That is our will. We are conscious and we have will, but our body is limited. We can't fly in the sky. And if we really cultivate that desire a lot, and really a lot, then we'll become a bird in the next life. So our consciousness will give us a suitable body. But in the spiritual world, the consciousness, the body does not live. As I said the same point the other day, and this is proving it here. This is an example that there's no anganiyasya sakalendriya vrittimati. The consciousness is not limited by the body. We are human beings. We can do so many things, can't we? With this body, we want to fly in the sky, so we make an airplane, and we want to become a fish, so we make a submarine, and we want to do so many things. So we have so much power with this consciousness, and the human form gives the greatest expression to consciousness, the greatest mobility and the greatest freedom and power of consciousness can be expressed in its fullest form in the human form. Of course, demigods even more. And some humans, they develop their powers even more. So they defy nature. The involuntary system of the body, the heartbeat and the lung, the yogis, they stop their heartbeat and stay alive. And they've been tested. They stop the movement of their lungs. There's no air in their body. You can't find any air coming in and out of their nose. You can close their nose and they can stay alive for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Maintain the prana inside their body. So this defies science. So their consciousness becomes so developed. They call it involuntary motor system or whatever. Voluntary, involuntary. They have these terms, I think so. That which you have no control over, involuntary. Well, you don't, but I do. The yogis do. The yogis have this power. So that means their consciousness has been developed through yoga siddhis and practices and austerities to gain more mastery, more mobility, and more expression and more power. So they're doing something with the human body which turtles do. Turtles, when a dry season, they go under the mud. They dig under the mud. They dig under because they see all the water in this lake is evaporating, and we need moisture. So they dig 3 or 4 feet, 5 feet. They go inside the ground. And there's no air in there. But they have the ability, they bring all their senses inside their body, they close all their shell, box turtle, or most turtles, and they pull their head inside. Then they're completely sealed, they're not taking anything, and they just hibernate, they live there during that summer season. Then the rain comes and the lake comes and they come out and there's turtles. You don't know where the turtles came from. It's a totally dry place. And so the folk stories are the turtles fall from the rain and stuff like that. So last night it was raining turtles. In America it rains cats and dogs. But in the country it rains turtles. So this is an amazing thing. So different animals have different abilities. You've heard of a bear? You've heard of hibernation? So humans have studied this. They say, well, how is this possible? And they see the heart slows down. So the heart slows down so much. The bear's heart usually beats so many times. Now it beats once every 3 days or something. Boom. And then they're still, and they measure the metabolism comes down. They're like in samadhi. So there's certain species of animals, the turtles and bear, and they have these abilities, the consciousness, the conscious jiva, to suspend their life in all kinds of different arrangements and maintain their life, which is mystifying to the human being. So on that level, the trees, they're devotees. Jivara Swarupaya Krishna or Nityadas. Every jiva is a Krishna das. So on the level of Krishna's Leela and all these trees, etc., they're all in their bodies are full consciousness. Oh, Krishna wants trees, okay, we're the trees. Oh, but Krishna's coming to me and says, oh, he feels hot. And then Radharani wants to mix some camphor and some sandalwood. I'm a sandalwood tree, so they grind a branch and make some sandalwood paste, but now Radharani wants some camphor. Okay, so I become a camphor. Mix some camphor in my sandalwood and put it on Krishna's forehead to cool relieve his fever, whatever. So we can understand something about these extraordinary descriptions when we know the nature of it's called the Dham Tattva. To understand the Dham. The transcendental nature and significance of the Dham. Text 78. Shri Radha Krishna Naramukt Yanu Sharana Para Vivrata Kepi Saka Pulagna Sunabara Bahu Shata Parito Mandapakararamya Hastagrayam Prasuna Dyata Paras Shikarastam Chasandaranti Shakindra Yatra Tanya Dishatu Mam Shivam Shivam Brindata Vinam. By the order of Radha and Krishna, some of the trees bend down and touch the ground with their branches. And they're bending down because of the heavy weight of the flowers on their branches. Those innumerable trees appear like umbrellas over the heads of Radhasham. The flowers and buds of some of the trees can be reached when Radharani simply extends her beautiful lotus hand, while some of the flowers are unreachable, being situated high in the branches. May that Sri Vrindavan, which is decorated with such most fortunate trees, bestow auspiciousness on me. This is very nice. So the flowers, some of them are bending very low and practically touching the ground, and easily Radharani can pick flowers for Sham, or Madhava can pick flowers for Srimati. But some of the flowers are beyond reach, and of course there's one very famous pastime about that at Kusum Sarovara. That's very nice to hear. And Radharani was there just before the beginning of Madhyan Leela, and she had met there with some Sakhis, and they dispersed for picking flowers, and they're wandering around the forest in Kusam Sarovar picking different flowers. So Radharani had her eye on one kadamba tree, and it was monsoon season. Kadamba flowers are in full bloom and very fragrant and attractive and rather intoxicating fragrance, the kadamba. And of course, kadamba is Krishna's favorite tree because it reminds him of Radharani. When Krishna is with Radharani and smells her transcendental form of Gandharvika's body, then he becomes mesmerized, he becomes enchanted. All of his senses become nose, his eyes becomes nose, his nose. And then when he perceives and inhales the sweet aroma of Radharani's transcendental body, Gandharvika's Gandha, Gandharvika's Gandha, her fragrance, and becomes totally intoxicated. And the tree that most closely resembles the fragrance of Radharani's body in Vrindavan is none other than the Kadamba tree. So therefore, there's so many other fragrances. Radharani's body smells like kasturi and camphor and musk and blue lotus and so many things. But the tree that most closely resembles Radharani's fragrance is the Kadamba flower. One of Krishna's names is Kadamba Kanana. Kadamba Kanana. He who likes to play in the forest of Kadamba trees. And everywhere we see Krishna playing with the Kadamba trees, playing in the trees. Keli Kadamba. Keli means play. Keli Kadamba. You've heard of Tara Kadamba? You've heard of Kadamba Kandi? There's a place out towards Kamivan called Kadamba Kandi. And you've heard of the Keli Kadamba tree in Chiragat, that Krishna stole the clothes of the gopis. And you've heard of the Keli Kadamba tree at Kaliyadaha, where Krishna jumped from the tree. So you see, Kadamba trees are very, very popular with Krishna. Now, Radharani, knowing that Krishna loves so much to wear these Kadamba garlands, she saw one flower that was beyond her reach. So she was reaching, stretching her right hand and extending her fingers and her index finger and her middle finger and just reaching on her tippy toes and, oh, Krishna, I want to get that flower. And she was reaching, oh Krishna, and she was praying to God, oh God, please help me. Oh God, oh Suryadev, because she worships Surya. Oh Suryadev, please bless me. I want to get this flower for Sham. Now, meanwhile, Krishna had come from Nandagram to meet Radharani at Radhakund. And he heard from Dhanishta and Vrinda that Radharani was a Kusum Sarovar picking flowers. Pushpa Chorya Leela. Picking flowers or maybe stealing flowers? Pushpa Chorya means stealing, Chorya. So Krishna went there secretly, quietly, alone. And he heard someone saying, Suryadev, Suryadev. Because as I mentioned earlier, the gopis dispersed and they were all scattered throughout the forest. Lalita was one place, Vishaka, all nearby, but now Radharani's by herself. And she's reaching up, oh my God. She's on her tippy toes, I go, oh, Surya, I got to get that flower, oh. Then Krishna secretly, hidden way, he went behind the tree and climbed up the tree, a Kadamba tree. The Radharani had her eye on that flower. And very surreptitiously, like a cat, got down, he crawled across the branches. Then he stood on that branch at the very end, and he held his hand, and he leaned down his foot on the branch and pushed that branch down and had that special Kadamba flower that Radharani wanted. And as soon as it came within Radharani's reach, she said, oh, I got it. Oh, God, mercy, God's mercy. And then she held very tightly. And when she held tightly, Krishna picked his foot off the branch. Boing! The branch sprung back up. And Radharani was so startled and frightened that she just kept holding, oh, what's happened? And she was so attached to that lotus, because when you get something in your hand, you become very attached. And it was for Krishna's seva. So then she's, oh, I can't let this go. And all of a sudden she's holding onto the branch and she's up and she's like 6 feet off the ground. Oh, Saki, help, bachao. And she's yelling like that. And then the Sakis hear Radharani's yelling, and then they run over there. Oh, Saki. Oh, Sundari. Oh, what happened? Kishori. What happened? Oh, I don't know. I was picking this flower and suddenly I flew up in the air. And then they said, oh, be careful. And they're all gathering around her, looking up at her, and she's saying, well, do something. And they say, I don't know what to do. You're so high. And then Krishna crawls down the tree and he comes back. And he walks in, and all gopis, oh, and all gopis are distressed and they're crying, oh, what to do, oh, Saki, oh, Swamini, oh, Radha. Krishna walks in very cool and calm and innocently. What's happening? What's going on here? What's the commotion? And he's looking at the suck, he's pretending he doesn't know Radharani, he's hanging up in the tree. He's just looking at the suck, he's idle, he doesn't even know. And he looks at Lalita, what's wrong? And then Lalita says, look, oh, Radharani, oh, Priyaji, what are you doing there? And she says, oh, do something. So then Krishna says, okay, just let go. And Krishna stuck his arms up, also reaching for a flower. So Krishna reaches two hands and arms up. He said, Radharani, just let go. And then she let go and she fell down. And Krishna grabbed her with both arms and put his arms around her and tightly embraced her. And all the Sakhis said, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. So some of the flowers are situated in unreachable parts of the branches. So now let's hear the next text, another translation of this text 78. May Vrindavan, where following Radha Krishna's joking orders, the fortunate regal trees bow down to offer respects, resting their branches on the ground, then become charming flower-filled many-branched pavilions, and then from where the land can grasp up to the very tops, bloom with many flowers, show auspiciousness to me. Basically, sometimes on the order of Radha and Krishna, they go to an area where there's a clump of trees or a group of trees together, and they want to enact some vilas there. Radha and Krishna want to enact some vilas in that area. So then they tell the trees, listen, all you trees bend over. From the north you bend over, from the south you bend over, east, north, northeast. All you trees bend over towards the center, because you're all scattered like this. You all bend over towards the center. Bend towards each other, towards the center, and bend down. Make a natural canopy. So when all your covering of leaves comes together, make a beautiful umbrella, and this whole area will become covered and shaded and very private, like a nikunja. So sometimes they order the trees like that, and the trees do accordingly. Because the trees are devotees, Jivara Swarupaya Krishna Nityadas. So whatever the Lord He asks His devotees to do, then of course they do. So the Guru asks His disciples to do different services, so they do. Work in the garden, or do puja, or this or that, sell books, or cook. Many translate, so many sevas they do. So then the devotees, they bend down, and they do the service. They offer obeisances. They take the bend down. They accept the order on their head of Guru, and then they carry out that service with great happiness and enthusiasm. This is the meaning of being the pure devotee's servant, or the servant of God. So there in that realm, everyone's just waiting for some command or some order. There's constant service going on in varieties of ways. And there's always some new service coming, and some new order or some new request given for service. And the devotees are ever ready to execute that order with great willingness and happiness. Well, this is another example here in this verse. You can read text 79 in this series of verses glorifying the trees. In other words, we're hearing so far that the trees are changing their forms to serve Radha and Krishna. They're becoming very humble and providing naturally their flowers and buds. And they're providing natural cover canopies with their spread of leaves, and beautiful pavilions with their cooperation and joining together their branches. And now we hear further glories in text 79. Kechind madhyanikad apyati vihala ruchas chanda martanda kotir brajat divya prabha mandalata ururucha kepi kalpangi kote Kechit rakendo kot yujvala shishirala sach chandrika charuruchi punja gunjami rama duti vitata maha manjula kepyat yatra. Some of Vrindavan's trees are more effulgent than the scorching rays of the noonday sun. And some of the trees of Vrindavan are more effulgent than millions of Kalpagni fires. Kalpa means at the end of the kalpa, which burns at the time of pralaya. Some of the trees are brilliantly shining like the cooling rays of millions of moons, and some of them look most enchanting because they spread the charming rays emanating from their flowers. So the trees are offering lots of wonderful types of rays, hot rays, cooling rays, and colorful rays. Rays of rainbow colors from all their rainbow myriad variety of flowers. The radiant colors, the trees that are blooming with red flowers emanate a beautiful reddish radiance. And the trees that are blooming with yellow flowers emit a wonderful yellow radiance. And some trees emit a effulgence and radiance which is very cooling and soothing. And these trees are functioning in the summertime. And some trees emit rays which are very heating and soothing and comforting. And these trees are acting like this in the wintertime. When Radha and Krishna want to be warm, and when they're dancing in the rasa dance at night, then there's natural heating system coming from the trees. NHS, natural heating system. So the trees, sometimes they have air-conditioned gyms. You go in the gym and it's air-conditioned. Because you're making a lot of hot air. So they have air conditioning. And sometimes in cold climates they have heated gyms. Because it's 20 below zero outside in Moscow. But they also have gyms there. They're heated. So, because these are sports places, they have heated sports places because they're doing sports there. So when Radha and Krishna are having their love sports, they sometimes need to have a warm place and sometimes a cool place. So when they want a warm place, sometimes they want to be in the forest. So when the trees emanate a radiant warmth, just like nice, soothing rays of the summer sun, very warm and satisfying. And sometimes in this hot summertime when they're having rasa vilas or rasa dance, then it would be nice to have an air-conditioned rasa mandala. An air-conditioned, like, would you like to go to a discotheque that had no air conditioning? If a discotheque, everyone's dancing and jumping here and there, no? So if it has air conditioning, it's something nice. You can dance so much and don't feel all fatigued and sweated up and stuff. So therefore, the trees, and then of course, sometimes they want to have a very cooling setting. They don't want to engage in rasa dance in an air-conditioned rasa mandala or in a heated rasa mandala. Like, for example, they have some skating rinks in America. It's an indoor place, and there's a big, like, swimming pool, really big size, and it's filled with ice. And you rent ice skates and put them on, or you have your own and you skate around. And then, but the place is heated. So the actual stadium, whatever you call it, it's all covered, completely indoors, but the ice rink is ice. When you take off your ice skates, you can sit there and watch you can sit there and watch your friends ice skate. You know, your friends are sometimes performances, you don't have to have 50 million blankets and stuff like that. Just sit there like this, you know, you come in and nice and you're relaxed and you're watching people ice skate. So they have all these things. I've seen. I've taken part. Done all these things. That's the thing. In America or these Western countries, you do a million types of things to try to enjoy, and your body, your friends, your own body, other bodies, everybody, and you finally, sooner or later, you come to the point, this is all worthless, empty. You do 50 million things and still you're unsatisfied. And someone says, here, take these beads, chant Hare Krishna. And you take these beads and you chant Hare Krishna and you find full satisfaction 24/7. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the idea is that the forests are serving Radha and Krishna by, as you know, underneath in a forest in the summertime it's cool. If you get away from the sun, the leaves of the trees catch all the sun rays. It's told that where we're living now, 60, 80 years ago was a Kadamba forest. From here, 3 kilometers, only 60 years ago. And the forest was so thick with trees and the sun would never come inside. You couldn't see the daylight inside the forest. And the temperature inside the forest, even in the hottest day in the summer, never got above 22. Kanama, I'm telling about the Kanama forest where I'm staying. Used to be Kanama forest from here for 4 kilometers to Vasantigram 50 years ago. And even the hottest day of the summer was never hotter than 22 degrees inside the forest. It would be like 35. It wasn't that hot those years ago. It's become global warming now. Kind of 40. We have 40 degrees summers and 38 and 42. But then it was 35, 37 like this. But inside the forest it was 22. Some of the older people in the village told me this. So of course, let's not.
Bhagavatam samasitam buddhasu sundarangam Kangakotikamaniya Vishesha Shubham Govindam Haripurusham Shami Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Krishna Pristaya Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachare Devitesha Sinyavati Asha Sapitavari Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachare Devitesha Sinyavati Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Krishna Hari Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Radha Shyam Sundar Sar Sakhare Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sai Gaur Devande.
Sri Gaura Hari Vajabhakatavatsala Sri Gaura Hari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari Khela holo Damodara Ishaye Kono Bhoga Mandire Bashi Karaha Bojano Nandirani Deshi Bashi Giri Baradari Baladeva Saha Sokha Boise Sari Sari Shukta Shakhadi Baji Lalita Kushmanda Dalidana Dugda Tumi Dali Mocha Kanda Dabora Mash Boda Rotika Britana Saskuli Pistaka Kir Kuli Payasana Kapura Amrita Keli Ramba Kirashara Amrita Rasalama Gadasha Pakora Luci Sinisar Puri Ladura Sabali Bhojana Korena Krishna Hoye Kutuhali Radhikara Pakayana Bibida Byanjana Krishna Subhasita Bari Sabe Mukha Prakaloy Hare Sari Sari Asta Mukha Prakaliya Jata Sakagane Anande Vishrama Kore Baladeva Sane Jambula Rasalane Tambula Masala Tahake Krishna Chandra Sukhe Nidagela Vishalaka Shiki Pucha Shamara Dulaya Apurva Sayaya Krishna Sukhe Nidayaya Yasomati Anga Priya Danishtaya Nito Sri Krishna Prasad Radha Gunje Hoye Prito Lalitari Sakti Gana Avashesha Paya Mane Mane Sukhe Radha Krishna Guna Gaya Hari Lila Ekamatra Jahara Pramoda Bhogarati Gai Thakur Bhakti Vinoda Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Gosta Bihari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Gosta Bihari Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari Bhaja Govinda Govinda Gopala 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 Bhaja Govinda Govinda Gopala
प्रेम से बोलिए, भगवान को ध्यान करते हुए, भगवान के नाम में हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे हरे
लागे वृंदावन नीको सखी मोहे लागे वृंदावन नीको लागे वृंदावन नीको सखी मोहे लागे वृंदावन नीको सखी मोहे लागे वृंदावन नीको लागे वृंदावन नीको सखी मोहे लागे भले महे लागे वृंदावन नीको भले महे लागे भले महे लागे वृंदावन नीको भले महे लागे घर घर तुलसी ठाकुर पूजा घर घर तुलसी घर घर तुलसी ठाकुर पूजा घर घर तुलसी दर्शन गोविंद जी को दर्शन गोविंद जी दर्शन गोविंद जी को दर्शन भले महे लागे वृंदावन नीको भले महे लागे भले महे लागे वृंदावन नीको लागे वृंदावन नीको सखी महे लागे वृंदावन नीको लागे वृंदावन हाले महे लागे वृंदावन नीनो हाले महे लागे वृंदावन नीनो लागे वृंदावन नीनो सभी महे लागे वृंदावन नीनो लागे वृंदावन कुंजन कुंज